I love that you're getting on an actual, like, podcast with me as a result of the message that I sent you.
Yeah, of course. Happy to chat always. Might as well do it with the record button on.
Totally, as we said that we would, but, like, I so last night was the 25th year or the mark of my high school graduation. I graduated
Oh.
high school 25 fucking years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
Like, even I was talking to my mom and my dad this morning, neither one they were like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Guys, do the math. I
They
didn't
probably
even."
remember going to their 25th, high school reunion. That's why they're like, "That can't be true that I have a kid that old."
I really hope that they remember going to their 25th reunion,
Yeah.
otherwise we're speeding up the plans, but, like, so I had no concept. My friend texted me. He's like, "Are we going to the reunion?" I was like, what are you talking about?" Anyway, so I go to my high school reunion. I didn't know who I was gonna see. We played the game in the car. I don't know if anyone listening has gone through this yet before. You haven't yet either, because 'cause you're still, young and whatever, but these 3 women that I have probably not seen and I don't know how long that were in the grade above me come walking in. One, I was surprised how excited I was to see them because I actually, you
Hold
don't
on, but
remember.
did you instantly recognize them?
Yes, they looked
Okay.
exactly the same.
Oh, okay,
Whatever
okay.
they're doing, like, don't gatekeep
Interesting.
that shit because they looked exactly the same and, like, naturally exactly the same, not like filled, tucked Kris
Sure.
Jennered. I was like, "Good on you." So anyway, we all started talking and whatever, and we're doing the catch up thing. We ended up on the topic of divorce.
Ooh, fair enough, yeah. It is
But
that time.
it is so and it's funny because as you and I have been talking about, except for you, Nina, and Lex, basically and Kenzie, but, like, everyone in my close friend circle has either completed their divorce, first ones, let's hope it's only one, or they're currently going through the process. So last night when the topic came up kind of organically, I guess it's now a rite of passage, 2 of these 3 women divorced. One is completely divorced, one is going through it. Was talking to another guy later, he's recently divorced, which goes to the conversation that we've been having about me trying to get back out into the dating world after my domestic partnership exploded all over my face, but I was like, "Everyone's fucking divorced."
Yeah, I feel someone at my work was talking about they have 3 weddings this year for second round weddings, and some of them, they went to the first round, like, 20 years ago, and so
Did
it
you get
does
the age
seem to
back?
be like that age cohort for sure.
Would you get would you get married again if you'd gotten divorced? I don't know
I
if I'd
don't
do it
I
again.
don't know I don't know. People say no, Jordan, and then they meet somebody and a year later, they're like, "Yeah, I'm in." So, like, I know people, old people, that have been married twice for the same amount of time, like 25 plus years, so it happens.
So I think what was funny is these 2 women were like, "You are so lucky that you never got married, never had kids, enjoy your single life." Oh, and I was like,
Oh,
I
man, that is like they must be in it in the divorce land to have that kind of opinion.
they're in it. It feels pretty fresh.
Fresh. Yeah.
And it was fun. I was like, "Look, always knew I didn't wanna get." It wasn't something I chased. I knew I didn't wanna get married. I knew I didn't have what it took to be the mom, the house like, I always knew that that was never me. But as you and I have talked about, I would very much like to find my person.
Totally. Yeah.
But there are these horror stories, and we know that my track record's not the greatest, but, like, it just sounds like you're set up to fail. Like, just it's not gonna work.
I think it can work, but it's interesting. Do you know, like, did they say why? Like, what happened in theirs? Like, I find now it's kind of like sometimes people get married young and then they figure, "Oh, I wanted a different path," or, "I didn't know that this other path existed, and so I'm, like, gonna go recreate myself and find my new self and my best life," and it's just a lot of these stereotypical kind of catchphrases that, like, "I'm gonna be my authentic self now," so I don't like, what was their kind of
So there I'll use theirs and lump it into, like, all the other ones that are concurrently happening with friends, but what I hear consistently is like, "We just that wasn't my person anymore, we, like, grew apart," like, all those kinda cliche ones, and then some of those get pretty gnarly, like, there seems to be a lot of, like, hatred with those, or some are, like bad shit has happened. Like someone
Mhm.
now has a substance abuse problem or something of that nature. Like those are smaller, much less
Yeah.
significant, but that's like a we can't come back from this. And then summer, yeah, to your point, like our lives went completely like different paths, etc. The one that I'm starting to hear a lot more from women is that the husband got more controlling or the partner got more controlling.
Oh, interesting. Are these like career women?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
I feel
So
like
I
you've had a bit of that in relationships in terms of like success in career and maybe a bit of insecurity on the other side, potentially.
It's actually funny. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about the fact that there seems to be a correlation in terms of how my life goes, where there's a promotion, a guy giving me flowers or some kind of congratulation, a very sweet note about how they're looking forward to being part of this like next phase of my journey with me. And then 18 to 24 months later, they're no longer there.
They're like, yeah, this is cool, rah rah for you. And
Yeah.
then maybe I'm not in full support. Yeah. So, like, what, like, I guess it seems that that kind of happened in your last relationship where it's like, in theory, it sounds great that you're successful and have this
Yeah.
career that you love and are passionate about. And then, kind of like when the rubber hits the road and real life kind of sets in, it's almost like they're like, wait a minute, like, you travel too much. Or maybe, I don't know, is it like a money thing, Jordan, do you think?
I don't know what it is, and I have thought about this, and I think sometimes it's just the person or the personality. So if I do think of my most recent experience, I think that individual hadn't really encountered anyone like me, had been with the same person for like 17 or 20, I don't know. They were together for a long time and like then met me, liked that I was the complete opposite. But I think sometimes when you then are attracted by something that's the complete opposite and you see what being the complete opposite means, you're like, wait, hold on. I don't like that you're traveling late hours, working with a lot of men, whatever that may be, or you have a drive that doesn't have to do with what happens within these four walls and under this roof. But I think that was the only relationship where they ended it because of my situation and apparently how I live my life versus me kind of being with people and being like, you want to slow me down. I want to speed up. I got to cut bait right now. Otherwise, like 10 years from the road down the road, I'm going to like resent you.
Do you think, like, did you have conversations in, like, not just the last but the other relationships about that, like, to start off with, where it's like, "Hey, like, this is part of me, I really like this part of me." Like, is it something that comes up naturally or
I think that's a mistake that I made if I look back on it. And I think I would encourage any other women like that are in a similar situation to evaluate that. When I look back at some of my communication, I don't despite the fact that I think everyone thinks I'm a very direct person, I don't think I'm direct enough about some of those things. I think I made the assumption that because you meet me, we have the conversation about what I do and what my career is, and you see XYZ, that you're picking up what I'm putting down and you're understanding, and they do seem to kinda like some of that, and then I think the reality sets in, but to your point, I don't think I've ever sat down and said, "This is me, this is my priority, like it or lump it."
yeah. I
Can
part it's
hardly
just
do
it's
that.
interesting because, like, I don't even know if you need to, but, like, the way you work, it's not like you're a different person at home. Like, you're still the same person. It doesn't mean that you're going to, like boss people around and do stuff like that because you also don't do that at work, right? You're like a coach and a mentor and you're trying to like move things forward and build things. And I think in your life you do the same thing. Like you're really ambitious in your like your personal life too, in terms of like hobbies and sports and friendships and gym life. So you're kind of like a go-getter all around. So like the whole mentality of like women being too much or too ambitious, and I think this goes back to like our original conversation, is like I don't know if you can separate the, like, real life or the IRL versus the work. What do you think?
I think you're completely right, I don't think you can separate it, and as you were talking, one of the things that you triggered in my mind is all of those things, right? So if I am all of those things, I need someone who is all of those things. And if we were to like spin through my roster a la Cher Horowitz's Closet and Clueless, I think I would realize like these things don't go together because I haven't had all those things in those
But
people,
do you
which
think you have to date somebody like you though in that regard? I guess the question is like, yeah, like they need to be in support of and encourage you and
mm,
be that like pillar for you and fan the flames, so to speak, in terms of like if they know that your passion is moving up in your career or exploring different hobbies, blah, 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 that they're encouraging that and not like, I don't think they need to be as necessarily driven or motivated in their career. Do you think?
no, I don't think that, but I do think so the whole everyone's like opposites attract. I think opposites attract. I don't think they stay together.
Oh,
So what I
interesting.
mean by that is I don't necessarily need th- my person, next person, whatever, to have aspirations to climb the corporate ladder, but I do need you to have aspirations.
Yeah, be motivated
Be motivated
about
like
anything, really.
about anything. Like that's the thing. Like I think back to He Who Won't Be Named where I'm like I'm not I don't wanna be with a snooze button guy again who's like, "Hey, I have goals and I'm gonna do this tomorrow morning and get up early and do XYZ," and then they snooze for an hour past the time that they said they were gonna do it, and then somehow resent you for getting up and doing your thing, but I think to your point about being clear, there's a gentleman that I am talking to right now,
Okay.
and he did share with me that he's driven.
Okay.
I've, like, heard this, right? I actually asked him, "What does that mean to you?"
Yeah.
And not what does it mean to you as a word, but what does it mean in terms of how you function every day?
And
That I feel like that was a game-changing way to ask that question because he literally gave me "This is my goal, this is how I work towards it, etcetera," and we haven't been hanging out for very long, but, like, I at least have a month of data to see that, like, that's actually how he functions,
right. Yeah.
and that is one of the hottest things I think I've ever seen.
That's pretty sweet. Is he like asking you the same thing? Like, are
Yes.
you driven?
Yes, he
Like,
did
what does
ask
that
me
mean
the
to
same
you?
thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, and I did share that I was and, like, shared some things, but I did acknowledge that a lot of what he's driven towards would be not the same things that I'm driven towards, but as we were saying before, he's got things that he's working on that do consume his time and consume his focus, and he lives a certain way towards that versus I think as you've seen with some of my relationships, I'm sure other women have navigated, sometimes if the person that you're with doesn't have an aspiration or something that they're working towards, for some reason as women, we have a tendency to park ours and
Yeah.
deprioritize some of that, and then eventually anyway, whatever, but yeah, I think that's a huge thing. So I think to your point, I don't think they have to be as career driven, etcetera, but they do have to be driven.
Yeah, I think that if you are driven, ambitious, we use those words like kind of interchangeably on
Ambition.
our original podcast.
Ambition, it's
But
back!
that if that's important to you, you probably think that's important just in general. And like how does that kind of play out then with your partner? And it's true, like even like Darren, my husband, we're definitely not on the same career tracks at all. But he is the same kind of like what he does very well, and he wants to do it very well, and I think, like, I admire that, and I
Mm,
think he's very supportive of me and my goals, and I think vice versa, and so I think when shit kinda comes up, like, he's there to support, and it's never been a question about, like, should we support your career or like, if I'm super stressed and I'm like, "I don't wanna work here anymore, blah, blah, blah," my husband's like, "Then don't." Like, literally like, he's like, "Don't," but, like, make sure that that's what you want, right? So, like, totally in support of my career. There's never been any weird, like, jealousy or, um, maybe
yeah,
jealousy is not even the word, but I know that there's, like, insecurity
resentment.
sometimes. Yeah, insecurity from guys if their partners have different careers or make more money.
So, I'd love to dig into that because if I think of when you and I met, I correct me if I'm wrong, and I hope that this doesn't offend in any capacity, but when we met, you did not have big career aspirations,
Correct. I s don't know if I do now. I don't think I ever have.
but you're a VP at a very prominent Canadian like, so, okay, you were
Yeah.
just lucky and you fluttered up the corporate ladder despite, you know,
Yeah,
any
that's what I did. I fluttered. Yeah, totally.
you know, I watched you use your brain and your brawn. But
Yeah.
so was there ever a point in your dynamic where your dynamic changed or issues arose because you kind of went from being this it's not like you and Darren got together and you were like, same thing you asked me. This is what I'm doing. I'm gonna become this corporate baddie, blah, 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 blah. Like, was that ever a thing or an issue? Or a hey,
Yeah,
you
no,
wanna
we
date on
definitely
me?
never had that conversation. We got married super young. Like, we've been together longer than we've not been together in life in
Ah,
general right now. So, like, it's been a while, but I would say the thing that has like, Darren was in a completely different career. He was a tool and die, had not gone to university, and then when we started dating, went to university, then did his master's degree,
right.
now is a pastor, and so went through a bunch of different, like, career changes. But for us, like, we're very much, like, just in support of each other's, like, goals and skills and passions and wherever that leads. And there's just it's like a dirt off the shoulder mentality. Like, I know, Jordan, you've said too, like, how do you know the person you're going to pick is
Yeah.
going to support you? And that's a big question. And when I was 24 and got married, I definitely didn't have that in my mind about whether or not this person's gonna support me if I change my mind in 10 years. But I would say we made a commitment to each other to support each other throughout kind of whatever we pivot to. And I think I have no like that's just what we do. Like if Darren, he's super into fishing, guys. I don't know if you know that. We got a boat and then we needed a different
So
boat
did
and then we had to
fishing.
build a house for a boat and blah blah blah. Super into fishing. I know more about fishing lures than I ever could care to. But he loves it. And so like I want to encourage him in that and help him in that because it's something that he loves. And I think if you find somebody that is supporting you throughout your dating period,
Mm.
then they're likely going to continue to support not always, but I would say if there's red flags early on, like, you seriously need to look at that before you lock it in, quote, unquote, whether officially from a marriage perspective or moving in together.
I think I've been colorblind on the flag
Yeah?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I think that's fair.
or ugh, or because I was so focused on other things, I wasn't spending enough time looking for flags, or, like, if I think of some of the folks that I've dated that were entrepreneurial, we'll say, or whatever, I think I got so kind of like excited by the like, yeah, like you've got these ideas or whatever, which obviously excites me that I maybe necessarily didn't look at the person,
Mhm.
but I was also never dating thinking of forever until I hit my late 30s versus
Yeah,
which is
that's
a
fair.
decade later than you okay, so here's a question. So, for folks that don't know this about Laurel, I would say that she's more, value driven and has more religious beliefs. You said something about we made a commitment. Do you mean through your vows, or do you
Mhm.
mean you made a commitment to each other just like we're committing to be ride or die?
I think both are interchangeable to me. So, like, when we got married, it was like when we said we're getting married through whatever, it's like sickness and health and
Yeah.
richness and poorness and whatever else, like, we had negative dollars. We were in debt when we got married because we had school debt, and then but to me, the commitment is like, I have no question, however mad we are at each other at any point in time, that it's not an option to leave. It's
Oh,
just not. It's not on the table. But that is a huge differentiator. And because I think people go into long-term relationships sometimes with an out, with the door open, where it's like, it's fine, I'm good, but I want an exit strategy. And like I don't formally have one. And now look, I think if you're in a shitty situation, like an abusive situation, like you should
yeah,
get out. I'm not advocating for people staying in those types of relationships,
yeah.
but I think we have a problem in today's society that people are like, I want commitment, but like if you're not serving me anymore, I'm out. Versus how can I serve you? Because if Darren is trying to make me the best person and I'm trying to make him the best person, like, it's not that he's trying to make me happy and when he fails, it's like, no, he's trying to, like, encourage and build me up. But I think that, like, it's just the door is not there. It's just not an option. And I think that has definitely been a helpful.
So it's funny because, like, I would say that I have the exact same belief, but it feels like people that have that belief are fewer and far between. Like, if I think of my last relationship, and I was actually talking about this at the reunion last night, when I moved in and crossed that threshold the way that most people would in like a marital home or whatever, the only time I thought we were going to leave that house was to buy our next house, which we
Uh-huh.
were, like, looking for. I didn't have any anticipation, which I'm sure most people don't, that, like, "Hey, this is going to crash and burn," in my case, like, faster than I had anticipated, and I think that rocks people so much, but I do think to your point, unless it's abusive and those types of things, which are obviously horrible, I do think in our generation and in this society, people are more likely to take the out versus like I was like, why wouldn't we work on these things?
Mhm. Yeah,
But people, and I do wonder if there's a habit for people, like my ex was divorced and had left like I do think maybe there are some people that are wired to run.
totally. Yep. Well, you're not serving me in the way I want it to anymore, and I'm out. Versus I'm in this. How do we help build and shape and create this and shift this? And we definitely have commitment issues. For sure we have commitment issues. We know that.
Yeah, it's
Like,
crazy. And so I've been watching way too much really shitty reality TV as a result of not feeling well and being sick and all the other shit that we've talked about on previous podcasts. So I was watching Perfect Match. Have
mm,
you watched this shit?
no, I haven't.
Oh my god. First of all, no one is a perfect match. Like this shit is the perfect example of what is currently wrong with our society. But why I bring it up is there's one guy on the show who keeps moving from girl to girl that I all think are stunning, this, that, and what, because he keeps saying, "You're not making me feel good. You're not doing X for me." He's doing fuck all for these girls.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he's got them like bent at like I'm almost like screaming at the screen, being like, "Girl, leave." Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But his talk track is consistently, "You don't make me feel this way or this way," or if a girl does come to want to talk to him about a miscommunication or something that's happened, he's immediately like, "No, I'm out. You're making this drama. You're making this whatever." I'm like, "The fuck is going on?"
Yeah, it's like, how are you making me happy in this moment? And I think, like, to me, I'm like, if you wanna live your life like that, go for it, by all means, but then don't get married. Don't get married. Don't enter into a relationship long term with somebody who is committed. So I'd say, like, for your last person too, it's kinda like you were all in. We've talked a lot about, like, if you're on the train, you're on the train, like, don't have one foot out.
Yeah,
And again, you're on the train until something it's fine if things that's fine. But I think there's too many people that enter into a relationship with one foot out or we'll see how this goes. And
yeah.
that's I think when shit hits the fan in a relationship, but also that impacts your like work life, your friend life, like a bunch of
Impacts
other stuff.
everything.
Like I want people, the root of this is to be honest. Like be honest with the person where you're like, hey, I'm not sure where this is going. That's fine to say
It's
also, but I'm
fine.
interested right now on seeing where it goes. Like
Yeah.
then be honest about that. Don't have somebody move into your house if you're like, I'm not sure. Like,
I have
right?
text messages that I've been holding on to for 2 fucking years. Okay, so there are 2 things. One thing that I'm gonna share, which I think is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So you guys had encouraged me to, like, go back on Bumble and blah, blah, blah. I have seen guys that I know are in relationships that have active profiles.
Yeah. See, that I have no patience for that. I hate it. And I hate the whole like you do like, no, sorry, don't be in a relationship then. Like, don't be in a relationship then.
Yeah.
Or have the balls to break it off before you go do that.
So there's this one guy I've seen, and he messaged me. So I went to his Instagram and I went to her Instagram. They're still actively posting pictures of each other, and part of me wanted to be so shitty and message her and send her pictures of his profile, and I'm like, "I don't want this karma shit or whatever," but okay. So, I'm gonna ask you to give me your unfiltered advice for me. You know better than pretty much anyone my
Mhm.
relationship history, my foibles, my whatever. What is
Your
the advice
foibles.
that you would give, yeah, foibles. What is the advice that you would give me that you really want me to take this time that may also be helpful to any other women out there that are rebuilding after the person that they thought they were the one was not the one.
Interesting. Uh, okay, 2 things. 1, I know that you really wanna be in a relationship, and I think it's awesome
With
that
the
you
right
say
person, not with just anyone.
Huh?
I'm happy to say no to people.
No, and that's my point.
Yeah.
That is my one thing where it's like, we've talked a lot about, like, Jordan, like, you're attractive, you're successful, like, we could partner you up with anybody very quickly, like, that's not it, but I think I appreciate that you say you wanna be in a relationship because a lot of people are like, "No, I feel like I have to be fine," and I think you are, like, you're very independent, you're doing you, but it's fine to say like, "Hey, I would like to share my life with somebody." Like, I think so that's great. I think your bar needs to be very high, like, because you make a lot of, like, excuses for people, and I think it's hard because you have to create space for somebody, especially if you've been single for a long time, you have to create space for somebody, so you wanna it's like you're not dating yourself, but at the same time, Jordan, that somebody coming in needs to, like, love and support you and encourage you, and you wanna do the same thing, and so I think setting your bar high is one thing, and then I feel like you try to convince people to like you, like, you by doing stuff for them. You are a doer. What's the love language of that? Like, you've helped people build their businesses, acts of
Acts of
service.
service,
So, like
yeah.
but it's like, they're gonna love you. Like, those are, like, maybe cherries on top, but I do feel like you go in sometimes and you're like, "Hey, I could do X, Y, or Z for you." And it's like, yeah, you could, but also, you don't need to do that. Like, they will just let them get to know you before you do some of this stuff and help them build their careers. If they can't do it themselves,
I think that goes back to finding someone that's, like, driven and motivated on their own.
totally.
I think it's one thing. I think it's helped me with horses and dogs to, like, see
Yes.
the qualities that they have when people don't. But, yeah, I think with people, I think, like, sometimes you gotta let a frog be a frog.
Yep, totally.
'Kay.
Cool.
What's Give me something I feel like you're holding back. Give me that thing that you keep seeing me do that you think most women probably do that you're like, "Stop doing this, ladies."
What? Uh,
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I
My
don't
god, you're thinking
know.
really hard. Alright. I think you're right. I think most women do the people pleasing, acts of service, etcetera. I think it's in most women's nature to nurture, and I think
Mhm.
maybe we do that too much when, like I think guys are very much like, you either fit what I want or you don't, versus, like, women try to make
Yeah,
excuses
I
for
think, like,
them.
you try to do that. I also think, like, I know most women want to, like, we want to be wanted, and I think we have to let guys know that you're interested, but I think it is fine to let them kind of do a lot of the, let them pursue you if that's what you want. Like, that's okay to want that too.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I think it's the what's that old, like, "If they wanted to, they would," or whatever, like, I think
Totally.
guys and I have enough guy friends to know as I sit there and hear them talking about stuff, like,
Yes.
they do I don't know, they do know so quickly,
Yep.
so quickly, like, it is like, they always say that, like, women are more decisive. Dudes know like that, whether it's a
Yeah,
yes
there's
or a
always
no.
those stories about, like, guys date these girls for, like, 5 to 8 years, and then they break up, and then they marry the next person in a year,
Yeah,
right? And you're like,
yeah.
"What is that?" But I think that's where, like, you don't need to do all the work, and I think you do that at work, you don't need to do all the work in the relationship. You need somebody that's gonna do the work with you.
Well, I also think with what I've witnessed as I've looked at so many of my friends who got married and then got divorced, I think if you've got that uneven distribution from work or like in the relationship in the beginning in your courtship, you have it all the way through the relationship. And if I think of all my friends that have gotten divorced, that's what eventually burns out. The like, you don't do anything or you don't show up in these ways. And then the other person's confused because they're like, but I've always been this way. Why are you flipping the script on me now? And I do think that's kind of unfair to people, but I also think, like, people don't change. Like, I've literally been at weddings where I'm, like, betting people that it's not gonna, like, last, and they're like, "They're gonna change. They're gonna." No one's gonna fucking change. In fact, they're
No.
gonna get, like it's gonna get kind of, like, worse as you go because 'cause they're still in, like, good romantic behavior, but Anyway, all right. Well, that was
No,
my
I think here's the thing. If you are we talk about food, like, if in doubt, throw it out. If you're in doubt in your like, if we're that flippant with food, like, guys, if you're in doubt in your relationship, like, you have to seriously consider before you jump into something serious if it's not for you. Like, just
well, especially to your point, if you're committing to it, like so this is the last thing I'll say, and then I know that I need to go buy more juice, and you need to go tend to rear your children.
Mhm.
But like he was like, if you could eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? My answer was eggs. And I was like, I love them. They're good for me. They're versatile. I can make so many different things with it. So it wouldn't just be like having like one food. But I think if I look at a food like that, you kind of need to look at a person like that. So it's like I need somebody that can like do lots of things with, very versatile, good for me. But yeah, I think to your point, if we're gonna be more stringent about what we eat, you got to be as stringent about what you
Totally.
I'm like referring to two different holes. That's weird. But anyway.
Alright, on that
Right.
note, thanks
Yeah. Well,
everyone.
thanks for I had to get that off my chest, including the fact that I'm still traumatized by the fact that I graduated from high school 25 years ago. But thanks for the chat. Love you. And I hope it was helpful for anyone else that was listening. If
Yeah,
anyone thinks that they need to share this with a friend, please do. And Nina's not here, so I'll share it. Like and subscribe and follow at the after call. Bye.
Thanks for being part of the After Call. If this felt familiar, you're not alone. Hit subscribe, leave us a comment, and share this episode with a friend. See you next time for more real talk about the beautiful, messy chaos of life.